Hey, this is Connor-Marroquin again, and today I'm talking about the U.S. Public Health Service and what are the requirements to apply. Now, I was a U.S. Public Health Service officer and I retired from the service in 2017. I created this U.S. Public Health Service application resource document that you can get your hands on if you fill out a quiz, and I'll tell you more information about that at the end of this video. If you have questions about the U.S. Public Health Service, I want to let you know that I have a Facebook group. It's called USPHS Find Your Fit, and you're welcome to join that. It's a free Facebook group where I answer a lot of questions about what it's like to serve in the U.S. Public Health Service and what are some of the tips and tricks that you can use to navigate through the application process. So today we're talking about what are the requirements to apply. And when you apply to the U.S. Public Health Service, the first step is to complete a pre-screen. And this essentially is a checklist of several of the items that are included within that official pre-screen. One is that you have to meet one of the commissioning degree criteria that we'll look at in just a minute. You have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be less than 44 years of age, and that is at the time of commissioning. A lot of times it takes up to a year or more to be called to active duty, so you have to be less than 44 years at that time. If you have prior service in another branch of the military, you may get an age waiver. So essentially it'd be however many years of service you have up until 8 years added on to that 44 years of age limit. The other caveat might be if you have a highly specialized skill that the Public Health Service needs, then they might adjust that age, or they might grant an age waiver based on the needs of the Public Health Service. You have to be in generally good health, not have any of the medical disqualifying conditions or dental disqualifying conditions. You have to meet height weight standards or measure within the body fat standards. Generally, it's the BMI between 19 and 27.5. But it's possible that your BMI might be outside of that range and still meet the actual body fat standards. You need to be generally fit and able to complete the running 1.5 miles, the push-up, the plank, and the flexibility requirements once you're called to active duty. If you have a tattoo, there are specific requirements. Some tattoos are allowed and some tattoos are not, depending on where they're located and what the meanings of those tattoos are. You have to be able to pass a security clearance, so you can't have any derogatory financial, criminal, or drug issues. And there again, if you have prior uniform service, you have to have less than 8 years of service in that other branch in order to be able to come into the U.S. Public Health Service. And then, of course, you need to be willing to meet the required uniform dress and appearance standards. When we look at the professional category appointment standards, there are quite a few. There are 11 professional categories, and so each professional category has its own one or more commissioning degrees and possibly some licensing requirements as well. For the physician category, it's MD or DO degree. For the dentist, it's DDS or DMD. For the nurse, it's BSN or MSN. For an engineer, it's a BS or MS. For the scientist category, it'd be a PhD. For the environmental health category, it'd be a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree. And in the environmental health category, it would be either a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree in environmental health, industrial hygiene, safety, or health physics, environmental health, occupational health, or industrial hygiene, or industrial hygienist. In the veterinarian category, it would be a DVM or VMD. For the pharmacist, it would be a PharmD. For the dietitian, it would be a bachelor's, master's, or PhD with the RD, registered dietitian credential. In the therapist category, there are a bunch of different types for occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech language pathology, audiology, respiratory therapy. Some allow for a bachelor's, but many require a master's or some a doctorate. The health services category has the most professions within it. So clinical psychology requires a PhD. Information systems requires a BS or MS. Dental hygiene requires a BS. Medical health record administration requires a BS. Medical technology BS. Optometry requires an OD. Physician assistant requires a BS or MS. Podiatry requires a DPM. The licensed clinical social worker requires a MSW, and then the healthcare administration requires an MS. And so all of these are very specialized. There's the commissioning degree, and then there's also, in many cases, some additional licensing or certification requirements. So this is more of a overview of the requirements. So if knowing what you know now, you are interested in applying to the U.S. Public Health Service, if you want to take a quiz to see if you may qualify to apply for the Public Health Service, I'll include a link to the quiz that I developed in the comments of this video. Feel free to take the quiz or share it. And along with this video, please like it and share it.